Welcome to Sree Latha Organic Farming. In this session, let us see cultural practices adopted to manage a specific pest. Specific crop rotations. Some specific crop rotations uh, actually they avoid the pest infestation to the next crop. For example, crop rotation of groundnut with rice is useful as irrigated rice field under puddled condition eliminate white grub. White grub problem, which is a big problem in the groundnut field. So the groundnut is to be rotated with paddy to control white grub. Next is adjusting sowing or harvesting times to avoid certain pests. This is a very critical point which is to be considered. In some states, early planting of paddy in Kharif and late planting of the same paddy in Rabi minimizes the infestation of rice stem borer. To reduce the infestation of shoot fly in Kharif sorghum, early sowing is recommended. It is al- almost all sorghum growing states recommend this. To manage pink bollworm in cotton crop, region wise sowing window is recommended. Suppose in Telangana before July 15th, the sowing of cotton is to be completed. Otherwise, if continuous availability of this host is available, the pink bollworm infestation, it continues throughout the year and control will become very difficult. At some point of time, if that host is not available, the pest will be under control. The planting dates and crop duration, you all know it is recommended the short duration varieties of maize to control fall armyworm. Like that, even for the pink bollworm also short duration varieties are recommended. Cotton short duration varieties are recommended. So that the host is not available throughout the period for the pest and pest can be controlled. Planting dates and crop duration. Adjusting the planting dates which are most favorable for the crop and the least favorable for the pest are to be decided and crop durations are to be adjusted. Planting density, always remember low density creates weed problems, high density creates pest and disease problems. So that's why density of planting must be maintained as per the recommendations. I will tell you one example. In chickpea, dense plant population leads to the high incidence of Helicoverpa armigera, and less plant population leads to high incidence of aphid. Less density. You may be asking why less density, more aphid. Less plant population encourages weed growth and they may act as alternate host to the crop pest. That's why high density is also not good, low density is also not good. Optimum density is always recommended. Destruction of the alternate host plants. Always in organic farming, the alternate hosts of the pests are to be controlled. The plants, good flowering plants which gives pollen, nectar and shelter to the natural enemies, beneficial insects are to be encouraged. These two are very important. The plants which are acting as alternate hosts, either plants or weeds which are acting as alternate host to the pests are to be controlled and a climate is to be created and a management system is to be created. The alternate hosts of the pests are to be controlled and the plants which gives pollen, nectar and shelter to the beneficial insects are to be encouraged. So for each and every crop, suppose if you take rice, green leaf hoppers, they use Echinoclova, Crusgully, Cynodon dactylan, all these as the alternate hosts. Those are to be controlled. And the same in the rice, mustard, and other flowering plants, marigold, and other flowering plants, which gives shelter and food to the beneficial insects are to be encouraged on the bunds. So that is one important aspect which is recommended in organic farming. Trimming of field bunds, grasshoppers which are laid in field bunds, the eggs are laid in the field bunds are to be destroyed by trimming of field bunds. Flooding the field, sometimes flooding is recommended to control cutworms, armyworms, termites, root grubs, etc. Draining the field and forming alleys in the paddy. It is very, very important draining the field and forming alleys to control rice, caseworm, and even brown plant hopper, Nilaparvata lugens also. So these draining and forming alleys in paddy is specifically recommended for that pest, those pests. Trash mulching. In sugarcane crop, a typical recommendation is there to minimize the early shoot borer attack, mulching with 1 to 2 tons of trash per acre, and after 3 days of planting, earthing up after 1 or 2 months of planting. So mulching after 3 days of planting and earthing up after 1 or 2 months of planting is recommended. Trap crops, you all know the trap crops. If a farmer is having patience to observe the trap crops and destroy the pest on the trap crops, a farmer has to go for the trap crop. Otherwise, should not. Otherwise, the pest, after attacking the trap crop, it moves to the main crop. Marigold is a very well recommended trap crop for the bollworms in cotton and other pulses. Like that, castor is very well recommended trap crop for the Spodoptera litura in many crops, including tobacco. Onion and garlic are recommended to trap crops to attract thrips in cotton and other crops. The mustard is recommended trap crop in cabbage and cauliflower to attract many pests that attack cruciferous crop. If cabbage or cauliflower are grown, mustard is recommended as a trap crop. Tomato is a common trap crop in citrus orchards to attract fruit sucking moths. Otherwise, the fruit sucking moths they suck juice from the citrus fruits. If tomato is there, they can suck the tomato fruits which are less valued compared to the citrus fruits. Bendi is a common trap crop for whiteflies in many high value crops. Cowpea is general trap crop for aphids in groundnut and many other high value crops. So the general recommendation to prevent pests for all crops except the chemicals applies to the organic farming. Any other general recommendations which were given in the IPM integrated pest management practices all are applicable to the organic farming except the chemicals. So let us see mechanical methods of pest control in our next session. Thank you. Signing off, Sri Latha.